This is Polednice, a creature from a famous Czech poem that comes for children at noon when they misbehave. And this is Vodník, a water spirit who kidnaps women and decapitates babies. And for obvious reasons, these stories genuinely terrified us as kids. Hey, I'm Hedju and let's talk Czech stories. This is Kytice, and trust me, it's horrifying. These stories come from a famous Czech collection written in the 19th century by Karel Jaromír Erben. Many of the stories feel less like fairy tales and more like dark, moral horror fiction. The first story that we're gonna talk about today, and the one that definitely scarred me the most as a child, is Polednice, aka the Noon Witch. In the story, a mother becomes frustrated with her screaming child. In anger, she says something she doesn't mean. If you don't stop crying, I'll call the Polednice. But at noon, someone actually knocks on the door. Polednice has arrived. The mother panics and desperately grabs the child to try to protect him. But the Polednice keeps coming closer and closer. Just when they hear the final beating of the clock, the Polednice reaches out to them. Suddenly, the doors open. The father comes home, but the child is dead in his mother's arms. The story never clearly says whether the Polednice killed the child or if the terrified mother accidentally did it herself. The last verse of this poem goes like this. Ve mdlobách tu matka leží, k ňadrám dítě přimknuté. Matku skřísil ještě stěží, avšak dítě zalknuté. There the mother lay unconscious, clutching the child against her breast. They barely managed to revive her, but the child suffocated. And somehow, this was considered a story for children. I actually remember seeing a statue of Polednice in a Czech folklore museum once. And even years later, I still remember how unsettling it looked. I remember being around 11 years old on a summer camp when we went to visit that museum. The way it looked and the feeling it gave you, it definitely left a huge mark on all of us. Because after that day, for the rest of the camp, we all had an alarm set at 12 p.m. so we could go hide. If you asked me back then, I would have told you of course I'm not scared, but deep down, when the alarm rang, I still remember the panic I felt as we ran inside. The second story terrified me even more because of its gruesomeness. The Vodník, aka the Water Goblin. In the poem, a young woman goes to wash her clothes at the lake despite her mother warning her not to go. Suddenly, the ground collapses beneath her, she falls into the water and disappears. She wakes up underwater, trapped with the Vodník. He forces her to become his wife, and eventually they have a child. One day, the woman begs to visit her mother again. The Vodník finally agrees, but only if she promises to return by sunset. When her mother realizes what happened to her daughter, she locks the door and refuses to let her go back. And suddenly, the sun has set, and the Vodník comes knocking on the door. He asks the daughter to come back home. He says he's hungry and the baby has been crying all day. But the mother doesn't budge, so he asks again, nothing. And when he comes for the third time, the mother tells him if the baby is crying, bring him to us and we'll take care of him. So he does. He brings the crying baby on the porch and rips off its head. It is one of the most haunting endings in Czech literature. Not because it's graphic, but because it feels inevitable. And it gets even more darker when you realize that it's actually the mother who didn't let her daughter return, therefore killing her grandchild. She wanted to return, she wanted to take care of her baby, but she wasn't allowed, which is what sealed the fate for the child. The story isn't scary because of the monster. It's scary because it feels tragic, cold, hopeless. Like an old nightmare passed on through generations. For me, the saddest part of the story is that the child is the only happiness for the daughter in the underwater world. So when she finally gets the chance to return to her mother, it feels like she has to choose between the two lives, neither of which she can fully have. Něco padlo pode dveřmi. Mok se jeví krvavý. A když stará otevřela, kdo leknutí vypraví. Dvě věci tu v krvi leží. Mráz po těle hrůzou běží. Dětská hlava bez tělíčka a tělíčko bez hlavy. Something fell beside the door. A bloody stain appeared upon the floor. And when the old mother opened wide, who could ever tell her fright? There, in blood, two things were lying. Horror through her body flying. A little child's head without a body, and a body without a head. So yeah, this is the kind of stuff that Czech people grew up with, and honestly, I still can't look at illustrations from Kytice without feeling uneasy. It is actually a really common part of the Czech literature curriculum. I think in around 5th grade we were supposed to memorize these poems and perform them in front of class. And even till this day, I still remember the opening verse of Polednice, the same way that probably most Czech people do. And even though I was really terrified of the story, I also kind of genuinely just loved it. It is written really beautifully, and that's also something that makes it so memorable. And I even remember watching Vodník visualizer in school. It was a part of the adaptation of Kytice, and I think we probably watched all of them, but this one just really stays on your mind. The video is like 20 minutes long, and it's still on YouTube till this day. So I'll put a link down below for you to watch it, because it's definitely a must watch. But keep in mind the ending, because I promise you, it will stick with you. Kytice contains 13 poems, and honestly, most of them are just as dark as the ones that I talked about today. These weren't bedside stories, they were assignments in school, and somehow they still ended up as some of the most unforgettable stories from my childhood. So let me know if you'd like me to go through the rest of them in a different video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!